Hello everyone, before we start this video I want to give a huge thank you to RedSaw Game Studio for providing me with an early look at the upcoming update, Pastoral Waves for Doloc Town. This will add a new NPC who will teach you about animal husbandry as well as aquaculture. We've done a few videos on this game in the past, but I decided to make this one a bit different. And not only because I changed my style recently, but also because I want to have this more as a short story rather than just me playing the game. So let me know what you think about this video format, and let's get started. Today we follow the journey of a girl named Emily. She loves animals and lives in a small town, one of a few after the Great Apocalypse. While the worst has passed, living is still a struggle due to the acidic rain that slowly burns you up, unless you seek shelter. Emily inherited a farm from her parents, who died a few days ago, or so she keeps saying. In reality, it has been nearly a year. All she does now is drink the nights away. The townsfolk often find Emily collapsed outside her tent. But it's not like she can do a lot, as the land she now owns has been retaken by nature. And the acid rain makes it nearly impossible for any crop to grow. A few more months pass, and every day is the same. She wanders the streets, fishes for food, and tends to the few crops she planted. And then she spends her nights drinking at the local bar. But then, one day, a stranger arrived in town. This lad has an unpronounceable name, who introduced himself as the shaman of the Children of Tenri, a group who lives in the northern grasslands and specializes in taking care of animals. He went out into the wider world to find people to teach their trades to, and this would be a small step towards fixing the world, as it would provide people with a new source of food, but also trade between the different towns. Emily's eyes began to spark for the first time in months. They used to have a cow on the farm named Betsy a long time ago, and she loved it. But Betsy passed away from old age when Emily was still young. She expressed the interest in learning how to raise animals, and decided to give the traveler a shortened version of his name, as she already forgotten his full name. Ken accepted to teach her the basics. However, currently the farm is not suitable for livestock. Emily would have to build a shelter where they can live, keep the animals happy, and out of the dangerous acid rain. But also to show Ken the dedication Emily has for raising them, as he doesn't want to hand them over to just anyone. He told her he set up camp near the giant tree in the outskirts of town, and to come find him once the barn had been constructed. Out of excitement, she ran into town towards Gerald, the local carpenter. He has a blueprint for the barn, and wants to trade it for a few resources he's going to need for future projects. He wants 100 wood, 100 fiber, and a few copper ingots. Luckily, Emily has a few of those ingots laying around, so she does not have to make a trip to the caves. The other items, on the other hand, she would have to gather. So she grabbed her axe and sickle and got to work, chopping trees and cutting grass even in the dead of night. But all that hard work paid off, as not long after, she obtained the materials necessary for the trade. The next morning she ran to Geralt and handed him the resources for the blueprint. With this, Emily could now construct a barn. However, before she could build it, the land was a mess, so she destroyed everything on the farm, both human-built structures and the nature that had taken over, until there was a flat space she could work with. After a few days of hard work, it was done. She had built the barn and was ready to inform Ken to start her lessons. Ken explained how food and shelter are some of the most important things an animal needs. These tutorial lessons were going to be a lot more hands-on than Emily expected, as he already sent her back out again to figure out how to build a feeding trough and fill it with food they could eat. Since Emily was almost broke, the only way she could feed them now would be to grow her own food. So she set up a small farm again, as after all, she was a farmer. Building a trough was not that hard, as it only required a few planks nailed together. With the food situation sorted out, she ran back to Ken, who gave Emily her first animal to take care of, a pheasant, in a sack, with the instructions to raise it and return once it laid its first egg. Full of excitement, she released the creature in the barn and gave it the name Faye. She loved this new baby bird. Some time passes as she spent day after day hanging out with the pheasant in the barn. Eventually, it grew up and laid its first egg. With it in hand, she rushed over to Ken and showed him the egg. After congratulating her, he told Emily she could buy more livestock from his village and they would deliver them by boat. She thanked Ken for everything and began making preparations. Now it's been well over a year since Ken left Doloc Town in search of more people willing to give raising animals a chance. And Emily's ranch has expanded a lot. The barns are filled with a variety of beasts that produce a selection of food and materials. Fish tanks filled with many species, which allow her to get plenty of high quality fish eggs for caviar. This turned her dying farm into a huge business, as she sold everything she did not need to live, making her one of the richest people in town. And with that, it seems like Emily has found her purpose in life and feels no longer lost. She would take care of these animals for years to come, and eventually hand them over to her own children. And that was my short story about Emily. It was quite fun to make this. It was a lot shorter than I anticipated it would be. But while this major update does include a lot of new gameplay elements, story-wise, it doesn't do a whole lot, as it's just raising animals. All in all, I think it was a lot of fun, and I highly recommend giving it another look if you played it in the past, or still on the fence about buying the game. Also, again, let me know in the comments what you guys thought about this format. Should I do more story, or should I just keep it more personal, where I explain my own journey rather than explain it through some other character? Because I'm interested to see what you guys think. With that, I hope you all enjoyed, and I see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.